All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is still Candid Conversations, and I am still your host, your friend, your brother, Tobiloba. And yes, Dominic is still in the house. Before we took a quick commercial break, we were talking about envy, jealousy, and we're still on that subject. Dominic, you said you wanted to add something.
Yes, I wanted to add that jealousy is the greatest weakness in human. One of the greatest weakness, because it's a state when you compare yourself to someone and you feel like that someone is far ahead,
better than you,
and you feel inferior. And that's when you start, you are not honest with yourself. You just want to judge someone because he's just ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's a very bad thing because it's a result of your thoughts. It's not something that exists outside of yourself. It's just from you.
It's your reality.
Yes, you think about that, and when you think about that, you feel that, and when you feel that, you became that person, and you start feeling jealous.
That's a very strong point you made, because yes, first, you cannot be, the moment you accept that you're jealous of someone, or the moment you become jealous of someone, it means that you're putting yourself, you're saying the person is better than you, right? And I want to say this, people can be better at you than you at certain things. It doesn't mean that they are better humans than you are. As a matter of fact, the way I view life sometimes, Dominic, is we are all playing our roles. Thank God for a driver, right? But there was somebody who created the car. Thank God for the one who is creating the car, but there was also someone who painted it. There was someone who made the engine. There was somebody who just sat down and did the design. Said, this is how I want the car to look like. There was somebody who started by dreaming everything up. You know, there's somebody who has to buy it for the car to be useful. It's the truth. Because if there is no consumer, then the product does not serve its purpose. So we all are playing our roles. And the problem comes, which is why I said what I said earlier, quoting the scripture that says that those that compare themselves to others are not wise. Is that because the moment you begin to compare yourself, you are leaving your own place of primary assignment. You know what I mean? And I think one of the problems is it also comes from the way we've been raised. You see, when you take, we accord certain respect to certain roles and take away such respect from other roles, right? Which is not true. Like we spoke the last time you came on the show, saying that if you woke up in the world and there was no one around, everything was working automatically, you'll be bored. I said for you to even have such an imagination, you're a very courageous man. I would not even imagine that. Life would just freak me out, you know? And what does that expose? It exposes the fact that we all need each other. We all are equally as important as the rest of us. I'm serious. I know most people do not see that because we call some people, who is not a VIP? Who is not a VIP to somebody else? Everyone is a VIP in their own right. Everyone is important. Not just important, very important in their own space, even if it's to themselves. You know what I mean? Do you want to say something? I can see you.
Yes, I want to add that other people around us who are ahead of us, who are behind us, it's a good thing. If we were all at the same level, we couldn't do anything. When you see people, someone who is driving a good car better than yours, you think of buying that car. You shouldn't think that in a negative way. You should see it as an inspiration.
Yes.
In order not to be jealous, see it as an inspiration.
Yes.
You see someone who has a good grade at school better than you.
Yeah.
It makes you think that it's possible to have a 10 when you have a 1 or a 0.
A 0.
Yes.
I agree with you. And one thing I want to point out is the gift of contentment. A lot of people are not, it's getting hard to become contented in 2019. Like you said, social media.
Yeah,
it's traumatizing. It's so traumatizing. I tell you, it's like, wait, okay, I thought this was the latest trend. There's a new one. I'm so far back. You know what I mean? You know, and it's hard to become content. But it's not impossible. The only way to have contentment is to start by understanding that you are not defined by what you own or what you have achieved. Your self-worth is not attached to your school degree. It's not attached to the kind of wife you married based on somebody else's standard. It's not attached to the things you've achieved with regards to the career ladder. It's not attached to, tell me, the designer of your clothes. I'm wearing a Gucci and you're wearing I don't know what. That's not where your self-worth is. Your self-worth is tied to the fact that you exist and that you're here now. That's important. Because I tell you that you're here now. I ask you, did you ask to be here now? No. You didn't even know how you got here. Did you write a letter to your parents and say, I want to come to the world. Mom, please fall in love with dad. Somebody decided that you should be here. And the person who decided that you should be here right now, that gave you that gift of life, thought you were worthy of it.
Yes.
So I tell you right now, if you're watching from home, you are worthy of life. You are worthy of living. You deserve it. And you should be contented in that. Now, this does not cancel out, which is one of the reasons why I know this, a lot of people will come for me when I say this. I have problems with ambition. Really. And I have to clarify this. I never really had any ambition that this is what I want to be. I will explain what I mean by that. You might not agree with me, and a lot of people might not. I rather focused, because I believed I was already something. So the moment you say, I want to be this, it means that you're saying that you are not yet something, which is, I am already something. I had always been something. I believed I had always been something since I was a little boy. So I didn't need to be something to prove a point. So all I did was, this is who I am. Let me express who I am. And it began to flourish in all the ways that it could have flourished, and it's still flourishing, and it's still going to continue flourishing. So my problem is, when you say that, I have another issue. I have a problem when we take kids and we ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be? It makes it seem as if the child is nothing now, but the child is going to become something when the child grows up. I think the better way to rephrase that question would be, how would you like to use yourself in the service of the world when you grow up? Not what would you want to be. Because then you take the identity of that child and you project it to the future. So until the child becomes a doctor, then he believes now I am something. No, I've always been something from the moment I came out of my mother's womb. I've always been something. Now, all these things that we see are just expressions of who I am. So what am I saying? So when you have this basic understanding, it puts you in a place of contentment.
Yes.
I know that if you're driving a Ferrari and I am driving a Legari, which is Legady's, we call it Legady's Benz, where I come from in Nigeria. Legady's, there's Mercedes Benz and then there's Legady's Benz, right? Which is those of us who still, we use our GF2, 3 on our legs. You know what I mean? If you're driving a Ferrari and I do not have a car right now, it should not affect my self-worth. It should not affect the interpretation of who I am before my own self. You know what I mean? So contentment is key when we're dealing with jealousy and envy.